many events that we do run here at Pennsylvania Eford. So thanks very much for joining us this evening. Without further ado, I'm going to turn you over to Melanie Lynch. She is the health educator at State College High School. Many of you have seen her at convention before and taken her all-day workshops as well as her shorter workshops. And if you haven't seen her before, she's wonderful. You're in for a real treat. She's the rock star of the health education world. And I'd like to let her take the stage, if you will, at this time. So Melanie, turning it over to you. All right, let's see here. And folks, while we are waiting for Melanie to get her microphone situation straightened out, just a couple of things to let you know about. If you look in the top, the green toolbar up above, there's a little man with a hand, and that you can use that drop down. If you have a question, you can raise your hand. I'll see that, and we can get to the question at some point when Melanie is ready for questions. You can do agree, disagree, step away. If you can't hear us, you can use the speak louder or speak softer, and so on and so forth. So there's all those little things in the drop down that will be there. We will allow for questions, hopefully at the end or in between each segment. I'm just going to try to give Melanie a call here quick. I'm going to pause the recording and try to give Melanie a call
Todd,
here.
can you hear me now?
Yep, I can hear you now, Melanie. So you're all
Okay,
set.
okay. All
The
right.
floor
So
is
good
yours.
evening, everybody. One of the first things I would like Todd to possibly be able to do is separate the chat box to a question box and a chat box, just so that if you all have questions at all during the evening, please be as interactive with that question box as you can. Todd said he would keep an eye on it and basically just call them out as I'm going. If this is actually, I noticed that Jean Boyer says this is my first webinar, and Jean, this is my first webinar too. So nothing like having your first webinar be the one that you're responsible for. But I have a lot of really interesting, fun things to share with you. Those of you actually who have seen me before, if you can just put in the chat box, like just put your name and say you've seen me before or how many times you've seen me. I did try to do a lot of new items just for those of you who may have seen me at convention. And like I said, I will be multitasking and trying to watch your questions, your comments, and all of that stuff. So, getting started, first item up for bid. Um, I just want to let you know that all of the activities that I'm going to be doing are aligned with the National Health Education Standards. So all of my all of the activities, you can kind of point out which skill we're working on. If you get to a point where you use these skills all the time, students will just start calling them out. Already, I'm only in week 2 with my students, taught a lesson today, and somebody just yelled out, "Today we're working on advocacy." So that's really, really nice that the kids are kind of getting on board and understanding. Because it's my belief that if we just use content, and that's how I was taught in high school, it's how I went through teacher prep training, but with the actual definition of health literacy, I kind of think of health literacy is just taking what they actually know and then adding to it what they do. And that's what I'm most concerned about with my students, having lessons and activities that can actually help kids get the skills that they need to improve their health literacy. And this is a chart that I actually adopted from HEAP when I was a HEAP trainer. And if you look at the triangle, and if all you ever teach is core concepts, if you look on the side, it basically says that your students are only going to obtain low health literacy levels. As you start building the pyramid to all of the other skills, your health literacy actually improves and actually going to the top with the top skills, the most advanced, sophisticated skills. Self-management, basically, how they actually use these skills, and advocating. So, and Thank you, Todd. Yeah, Frank's not here tonight, so I'm on my own. I like this quote, and I actually use it in my classroom on like the second day of class from the American Medical Association, and it is the growing belief that any future advances made in improving the nation's health will not result from spectacular biomedical breakthroughs. Rather, advances will result from personally initiated actions that are directly influenced by the individual's health-related attitudes, beliefs, and knowledge. Health education can make a valuable contribution in areas such as these and can play an important role in improving the quality of living. We all know that. That's why we are health educators. That's why we're doing professional development because we understand that the better we are as educators, the more we can have an impact on our students' health and wellness and their health literacy. Okay, so, Todd. Okay, never mind. I'm sorry, the first slide didn't actually work, but this activity, the first one I want to share with you, is something really exciting because it has a fun story behind it. This was an activity when I taught at Penn State in the evenings. I wanted to have a assignment because it was an addiction class, a 400 level addiction class, and it was 3 hours a night one class per week for 15 weeks. And the entire curriculum was drugs and alcohol and just a lot of heavy, heavy content. And I asked myself the first time I taught this course, I thought, how can I put a more human spin on drugs and alcohol? And then I thought, I'm a huge fan of classic rock. And I thought, well, how many celebrities do I know that have died because of drugs and or alcohol use, either directly or indirectly? And so I started making a list. And I'm going to take you through that list, pretty quickly with just the pictures. So, and the way it would work is the students would do, pretty heavy research and they would present 20 minutes at a clip. So every night I would start class with a presentation, teach for about 2 hours, and then have another student end class. And then I thought I wonder if I can bring this to my high school classroom. Obviously, I didn't have the time to dedicate to let every student present, and I just thought, how can I do this? So I had them just get a celebrity, do the assignment, but then it fell short. Really, it never really got the purpose of throughout a semester having the time to kind of get to know these individuals and all of the information from everybody's PowerPoint. And I was presenting this at PSA for just this past November, and I just said to the audience, it's falling short. It's a great activity, but something is missing. And the most amazing thing happened is people just started talking and brainstorming. And within 10 minutes as a group, we kind of brainstormed what you're about to see. And so, what I'm going to take you through now is just showing you how I taught this in my classroom when I came back from convention. And I have to tell you, I was tickled pink with it. So, let's see. So, when I showed this PowerPoint that you're about to see, I'm not showing the videos just for time's sake. So a lot of my students, they may have heard like Jimi Hendrix, for example, but don't know who he is. So I took an entire period just to introduce all of the celebrities. But one of the things I didn't say to them when I was going through the PowerPoint is these celebrities died of drugs and or alcohol. I just said we're going to do a presentation and these are the celebrities. We're going to do a celebrity presentation. That's what I called it. So, for example, I would show this slide Jimi Hendrix so they could see what he looked like. I would advance and there would be like a video clip of him. I would show it for maybe 20, 30 seconds to get the gist of it and then move on to the next celebrity. So the next celebrity would be Janis Joplin and again show a video of what Janis had done. River Phoenix, John Belushi, love his video clip. Jim Morrison, Marilyn Monroe, John Bonham, who was the drummer of Led Zeppelin. So that's what I would kind of tell them who John Bonham was, give a quick overview, and just, let the wheels start turning and see which students liked which celebrities. Keith Moon, the drummer of The Who, Chris Farley, a comedian, and it's interesting that already he's been passed longer than some of my students don't really remember him. Phil Hartman, also from Saturday Night Live and a lot of different movies. Rob Pilatus, for those of you younger in the classroom, the big scandal, Milli Vanilli, it wasn't even them recording they won the Grammy, and it was older gentlemen singing, and they just put the Pretty Boys on the album, and they went out and lip synced. Obviously, Elvis Presley, Chris Kelly from the group Criss Cross from the 90s, Bon Scott, lead singer of AC/DC, Hillel Slovak, he was Red Hot Chili Peppers, Judy Garland was Oz, Kurt Cobain, Nirvana, Anna Nicole Smith, model, Heath Ledger, actor. So as you can see, just kind of all of the different celebrities. Princess Diana and Phil Hartman are the only two celebrities that did not die because of their own drug or alcohol use. As you know, Princess Diana died in a drunk driving accident, and Phil Hartman's wife killed him and then killed herself. So going through, and actually I want to go back to this slide, and it's interesting because as people die, it's really sad. I just add them to the list once their toxicology reports come out. And Corey Monteith just died this summer, so a lot of my students knew him. And so now, once I got through the slide, I would ask the students, what do these celebrities have in common? And, inevitably somebody would piece it together that they all died because of drugs and alcohol. And then I would actually start going through the assignment. Now, I want to actually focus in on this a little bit. As you can see, this is what the students actually have to research. But this is the beautiful part. They no longer do PowerPoints. And if you look at the top of this slide, it says Celebrity Diner. And what we actually are doing is the student is going to do the research and actually become the celebrity. They actually have to have a tombstone decorated with if you look at the bottom, they must have the information from above. It must be colorful. It must be neat and legible. And they have to have a photo so that they can reintroduce, just to jog the memory of everybody. And then at the top, you can see what type of information I want them to research. And the skill that I'm actually working on here is accessing information, letting them know they may not go to Wikipedia. I want them to go on YouTube, watch videos. I give them about 2 or 3 days to do the research. They have to also find out what type of drug killed this celebrity, what were the circumstances, what are the properties of that drug. So basically, they have to be able to answer all questions. And one of the things that I tell them is really important is I want them to find out who the celebrity was as a person before they were even famous. What kind of student were they? And I tell them I'm going to ask them questions, so they need to be able to answer almost everything about, quote, themselves. And then as a celebrity, what was their, claim to fame? How many awards did they get? And then on the day, I'll come back to this slide. On the day that we actually are presenting, I set the room up like a cafe. And I have tea and hot chocolate, and I bring in a big container of animal crackers, and then I have a head table. And from the cafe, we'll pull maybe 4 or 5 students out at a time, and I'll just go down the table, and it's like a question and answer panel. I'll just say, introduce yourselves to everybody, and go right down the line, and they'll introduce themselves. I'll ask them, how old were you when you died? And if you look on the rubric, it says cause of death, major contribution from celebrity, celebrity facts, and I actually doubled that score. But the diner conversation, were they able to identify and know? Because I want them to be ready and truly know everything about this celebrity. And so if I go back a slide, you can see that I actually have a list of all of the celebrities so that the students can actually sign up for the celebrity they want. You can do it any way you want. I kind of do it alphabetical, and so they get first dibs, and sometimes I go forwards, sometimes I go backwards, and ask them to have a couple celebrities in mind because their celebrity may be taken by the time it's their turn. So, but I really do try to get every kid the celebrity they want, but that's not always possible. And I think it's interesting. You'll usually see drummers wanting to take one of the drummers. You'll take kids that are interested in comedy, maybe take the comedian. And it's just interesting who takes which celebrity. Um, so they do have to turn in paperwork with an overview of all of their facts, and they have their actual tombstone for me to assess. But like I said, I'm also assessing them at on their actual, like, are they able to answer the questions? This activity, actually, for those of you saying, yeah, I like this activity, if you could actually just give me some feedback on the side, or questions you have as we go along, and Todd will bring them to my attention if there's something you really want to ask about one of the activities. But this lesson plan is the lesson plan that I chose to have published in the PSA for journal this time. So if any of you get the journal, you know that every time the journal comes out, I have a lesson plan in there, and so this one will have the full lesson plan, all of the questions I ask, all of the setup, everything you would need to actually get this lesson plan up and running if you choose. And also, if you choose to do this lesson and you put a spin on it, I would love to hear back from you because I think that's the great thing about lessons. You can always put your own touch onto it. And I think the best lessons are those that evolved over time and through a few teachers putting their own. Um, so I see Ain says that you modified this activity and did it with your eighth grade students. They loved it. That's fantastic because I teach 11th and 12th graders, but a lot of my materials can be very easily adapted to younger grades. Okay, everybody's still on board. Todd, this is kind of weird. Like I can't hear anybody. They're very quiet. All right, so the
I
next
told you that'd be the weirdest part.
what?
I told you
Okay,
that'd be the
Todd.
weirdest part, not being able to talk to them.
I wish they had like waving hands or something I could see. Now this next lesson, I believe this is going to be the next one I do for the journal, and this was my last student teacher. I wanted him to work on a lesson plan. I always want my student teachers to have what I call a showcase lesson, something that they can really, roll up their sleeves. It would be something that they could talk about in an interview. And I will be honest, I did not write this lesson. This is his lesson, and I didn't even teach it. While he taught this lesson with his classes, I taught the celebrity diner because I wanted to see him do it, let him go through it, and again see what tweaks needed to be made. But it was called Court is Now in Session, and I think it really worked. I mean, really well for him. So he was proud. This was like the last part of his student teaching. So the way he actually designed this is he split them into two different teams. Like they were large teams, so if your whole entire class, and he put them on the prosecution side or a defense side. Um, and then what he did was he looked at his students and thought, who was the most responsible? Who would put the time into it? And appointed like two lead attorneys for each team, and then had some backups just in case there was an absence. And then he had them separated into expert witnesses, and then he had the jurors. Now, the one thing that we would change about this is the jurors got off a little too easy because they knew they were going to be jurors, and we could see that they weren't doing as much research. So the way we said we would do this in the future is we would just put you on defense or prosecution. We would assign the few people as the leaders, but then everybody else was expert witnesses, and you can do whatever topic you want. He actually chose like whether they were going to decide whether to change the drinking age from 21 to a different age. So and he really did again on the day of the trial. He had the custodians bring in like tables. It looked like a courtroom, and I have a teaching station that actually looks as like a big judge bench, and he put a graduation gown on. So he looked like a judge. He got a gavel from one of the social studies teachers who teaches government, and he ran it. And it is amazing how many kids knew how to object to testimony, and of course he was the judge, and then he sent it to the jury. So I'm actually pretty excited to try this year, and I think this semester I will do this activity instead of the celebrity one, just because I don't have time to do both. If you have actually time to do both in your class, I think they're both fantastic. But um, I'm just going to try this one just so that I can actually teach it. I think we get a better sense of how a lesson goes when we teach it ourselves. And again, these are just some of the worksheets the students have to fill in and turn in so that there's some accountability. And they really relied heavily on their notes. And a lot of the students, and this was the first assignment I've ever seen this happen with, because usually you struggle to get kids to write enough of research. They actually attached blank copies of blank paper with more research on it, because I told them they may use any of their notes during the trial, and and they had to dress up, and I thought, oh, that's never going to fly. They're not going to dress up. And the lead prosecution and the lead defense attorneys, they were in suits, and I mean, it was just really interesting to see their demeanor, what it was like when they were in different clothing and how they acted. So, do you guys have any questions about that activity? I'll just wait a moment and see if anybody types anything. Um, it did take some time. I think it was a total of about four, maybe five lessons, but I think it was just so worth it watching kids do that level of research and just communicate with each other and divvy up roles. And then I also had them grade each other anonymously. Anytime I do a group project like this, I let them kind of like tell me who did what, so that we get a sense of if there was anybody just not really doing what they were supposed to do. Okay, this next activity, very simple. It's a bell ringer for my plate that I wanted to show students that although it's the same food, as you can see, and we don't have animation because I had to send Todd a PDF so I wouldn't lose my fonts, but the students wouldn't be able to see all of the different foods. But I wanted to show them that even though these are all the exact same food, the way they're prepared could give it a different grade, just like on a report card. So a baked potato without butter, without sour cream, would be an A. Now, if you added butter or sour cream, it's still a healthy option, but now you've kind of come down in a grade level because of the butter. French fries, especially those deep fried, now might be a C, and potato chips would be a D. So after I show them this activity, I just ask them to get in a group, and then I assign them a food type. So, for example, I will assign them fruit or vegetable or meat or whatever, and I'll give them a specific meat or a specific fruit, and they have to take it through an A, B, C, and D, and just it kind of just shows them and walks them through all the ways we can improve on a food and all the ways that we could add fat, sodium, sugar, that kind of thing. Okay, goal setting. Like I said, I'm in my second week with my new students, and being that this is a national standard, I like to spend a little bit of time on this up front, just especially decision making and goal setting, because then you can take the skill and have them work on it and practice that skill in every single unit you do. So I always like to add humor to my classroom. This this actual PowerPoint, I did goal setting yesterday. That was my lesson plan. Just talking to them about why we set goals, why it's important. I showed a motivational video. I would love to show it on here, but it takes like 6 minutes, and I just don't want to take your time. If you go to YouTube and you actually type in motivational dream, it's about 6 minutes and 31 seconds. It is the most fantastic thing that you can show the kids, and then I have them write about that video. But I'll kind of talk about that in a moment. But I asked them what's the number one reason why people are afraid to just go for their goals. We talk about that it's fear of failure. And I get them to ask a couple of, or offer a couple of examples of what kind of activities people may shy away from because they're afraid of failing. And they talk about trying out for a sports team, trying out for the school play, running for student government, taking the advanced class that they may be worried about. So, talking about fear of failure. So, I asked them to brainstorm if success were guaranteed and there was no failure, what goal would they want to work on? And I just plant that seed in their head. And then I go on with this activity. And I've said this many times in my presentation. I think when you share some of your own personal experience, some self disclosure, especially in the beginning of a semester, um, I think it shows the student what kind of person you are. They can get to know you a little bit, and I like to share with them, and it allows it to be safe for them to possibly share. Because if I want them to share personal information with me, I think I have to share some personal information. So this activity, I just walk them through, and I told them that I had a dream, and I told them that I wanted to be a derby girl. It was something I've always been fascinated with roller derby. Clear back when I was a kid and it was fake and I would see it on TV, and I just used to think, I think that is the greatest thing that ever happened. And then, as you know, roller derby went away for many, many years, and then the movie Whip It came out. And I watched that movie with Drew Barrymore, and I just thought, again, I can't tell you how amazing that was to me. And then I found out in my own hometown we had a roller derby team. So I thought, uh-oh, it's time to put up or shut up. And this was actually last September, and this was right before my 45th birthday. So I had every excuse. I tell my students I wanted to do it, but I was so afraid. 45 years old. I haven't been on skates in about 27 years. Again, I had more excuses as to why I couldn't do it, but I had one excuse as why I wanted to try, is it was just a burning desire. So I showed up at the tryouts, and when I got there, I noticed all these 20-year-old, 25-year-old girls getting out of the car, walking in with their skates over their shoulder, and I just thought, oh, this is going to be awful. And as soon as I got there, I found someone older than myself, and you're looking at my derby wife. We bonded immediately. I think it was just granny power that we kind of clung together. And I decided right then and there, if I failed, at least that would be better than not trying. So I thought I have to do this. So that was my first goal, just to make the actual team. So, okay, once you make it, now you have more problems. I'm still not really a derby girl. I'm in what they call fresh meat. So, that's my classroom, and this is my prep period. And I would take my equipment, I would put my skates on, and anytime I could be on my wheels and trying, that was part of the whole goal setting process. So the first thing I needed to do then is pass the assessments so I could be drafted to an intra-league team. State College has two teams, and we play each other, and everybody gets to play if you pass your assessments. There I am at my first bout last February. You could tell by my body language, I'm not real comfortable. I was scared to death. Just so afraid, but I passed. And so now I could technically call myself a derby girl. Um, but I thought, okay, I've reached my goal. But just like anything, why can't you expand the ceiling? Why can't you say, okay, well, and I was noticing something. We have a team that's an all-star A team that travels around and plays other teams. And I thought, well, that's what I want to do. I want to make the dolls team. And so through a lot of hard work and a lot of practice, I made the dolls team. And I've been traveling with them for about a year now. And again, I want to take the ceiling a little higher. I was seeing these girls playing derby and winning MVPs, and I thought, why not? I mean, why not go for the Oscar of roller derby and get an MVP? So that was my first MVP. And again, I think it's just something that we want to strive for and teach our kids that you can keep going. So now, where their activity comes in is they have a worksheet. So they've had time to think about, oh my gosh, if she's 46 years old and she can go through all of that, what was your failure free goal? If there was a magic wand that would make sure that you would not fail. And now I play the Rocky theme music, let them go, let them write down their goal and what kind of things they need to do. How do they break it down? And then I asked them if they would share. And it's amazing how many students will share what their ultimate goals are. And then one of the last things I have them do is write that paragraph. Why are you not working on your goal? Now, in some cases, the students are working on their goal. So I just switch it up and say, if you are working on your goal, tell me where you are in the process. Um, so now, I thank you, Todd, for putting the you have the link down there. That video is so amazing. One of the things I have them do is just on the back of this sheet, I have them write a reaction to that video. Now, I actually graded those last night, and it was great because it allowed me to see a writing sample of every single student. Because sometimes I have learned that I don't get them to write enough, and then when their IEPs or whatever comes around and I need to give feedback, I have no concept of what their writing is like and where their skills are. So now that they are brand new, I can start reading and seeing who has literacy, who has structure problems, whatever. Who just didn't give me any effort, and who's going to write a novel every time I ask them to write a sentence. So it tells you a lot about your students. Hey Todd, is everybody still alive? I just want to check in, make sure everybody has a pulse. Is there anything they can do that actually will let me see if they have, because I don't see anybody having any questions. So I guess, does
You could
anybody have
ask
any
the
questions?
Melanie. You could ask everybody if they understand everything. I can expand the side here, and if they know it, they can use the drop down and click that they agree that they understand everything, or they don't understand something, or if they're feeling good, like what you're doing, they could give you some applause or something like that. So
Can
why
we
don't I?
ask? Okay, okay, yeah, absolutely. Just some feedback because I've been talking now for about an hour. Just want to see where they're at, if they have any questions about any of the um, activities that I've talked about so far.
Folks, if you have any questions, then I'll put the chat room back, and you can dump your questions into that chat room. If there's anything related to what she's done so far, certainly do. Don't be afraid to ask. The link down there to that motivational video is right there. And also, while I'm on the mic, Melanie, do you need the other videos that you asked me to upload? I have those ready whenever you need them shown.
That's going to actually be the next thing I do is the 30-day challenge. So, but I see some people are typing. So far so. Okay, one person says, "Will we get a copy of any of these lessons?" One of the things I talked about Todd, to Todd about, and what I'm going to do is the only place I actually give these lessons out are is at the convention, because what I really want people to do is, come to convention, support convention, but I do give them for free in the journal. So, like I said, some of them have been in the journal before, some are upcoming in the journal, but all of these lessons and then many, many, many more, I'm presenting again in November on the Thursday of pre-convention at Seven Springs, and I give all the participants a big, thick book. So that's at this point in time, that's kind of what I've discussed as far as how I'm going to disseminate any of those lessons. Um, Okay, okay, so Annette's asking for the court is in session activity, is the grade for the team or is there a separate grade for each student? If you this one's going to be, like I said in the journal, the next time. If you look, there's a rubric for each student, and they're being graded just on themselves. If I can go back to that um, rubric, I can show you. So their information, their use of facts, they get on the witness stand, and they don't really argue well. If they don't rebuttal well, if they don't review, if I don't see that they understand the topic, they don't have a presentation style. They're not dressed up. If they didn't cite their sources, so it is possible that they get completely different grades. Um, because I think it's so hard to give them one grade. Wendy's asking which journal I put it in. It's the TSA journal that members get. It's a free journal, and that members will get. I think what is it, three times, four times a year. I should know this. It's like lessons in there. Oh, Linda says echo. Elizabeth says I sound like a robot. Muttering and echo.
Hey, folks, we're having a little bit of audio difficulty. See if Melanie can get the microphone back here in just a couple of seconds, and we can have her re-answer those questions. But what she was saying is you back, Melanie?
I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yep, we got you now, and you're loud and clear. So go ahead.
Okay. So wait a minute. I have to go back because I'm reading a lot of the. Obviously I was getting a lot of sound issues. Um, I answered Annette's. I put a question in the Q&A. What was the title of this lesson? Um, Linda, I'm wondering when you put that in. This lesson I was just talking about was typing, so I'll find out. It was just like goal setting, but I think which journal answered that.
Melanie, I think she may have been referring to the one about the dreams. I think because there was one in the question queue from Linda about the dreams.
Oh, okay. It's my goal setting lesson. It's just a goal setting lesson. And Linda, maybe you can answer this. How can they get the journal? Because I'm assuming Maryland is that that's Maine. Is that Maine or Maryland? Um, they are Mayford members. So that would actually be a question for Linda Huber to answer. Um, but I'm going to go ahead and continue on just so that, and then I will actually stop again, let you ask questions. But this next one is actually my lesson plan today, and it feeds off of or builds upon the whole goal setting lesson. And Todd, if you could actually switch over and show the TED Talks video. When I saw this TED Talks video, this is what sparked my whole idea of I need to start. 30-day challenge with my students.
For I guarantee you the next
There we go.
A few years ago, I felt like I was stuck in a rut. So I decided to follow in the footsteps of the great American philosopher, Morgan Spurlock, and try something new. Stuck in a rut. So I decided to follow in the footsteps of the great American philosopher, Morgan Spurlock, and try something new for 30 days. The idea is actually pretty simple. Think about something you've always wanted to add to your life and try it for the next 30 days. It turns out 30 days is just about the right amount of time to add a new habit or subtract a habit, like watching the news, from your life. There's a few things that I learned while doing these 30-day challenges. The first was, instead of the months flying by forgotten, the time was much more memorable. This was part of a challenge I did to take a picture every day for a month. And I remember exactly where I was and what I was doing that day. I also noticed that as I started to do more and harder 30-day challenges, my self-confidence grew. I went from desk-dwelling computer nerd to the kind of guy who bikes to work for fun. Even last year, I ended up hiking up Mount Kilimanjaro, the highest mountain in Africa. I would never have been that adventurous before I started my 30-day challenges. I also figured out that if you really want something badly enough, you can do anything for 30 days. Have you ever wanted to write a novel? Every November, tens of thousands of people try to write their own 50,000-word novel from scratch in 30 days. It turns out, all you have to do is write 1,667 words a day for a month. So I did. By the way, the secret is not to go to sleep until you've written your words for the day. You might be sleep deprived, but you'll finish your novel. Now, is my book the next great American novel? No, I wrote it in a month. It's awful. But for the rest of my life, if I meet John Hodgman at a TED party, I don't have to say, I'm a computer scientist. No. If I want to, I can say, I'm a novelist. So here's one last thing I'd like to mention. I learned that when I made small, sustainable changes, things I could keep doing, they were more likely to stick. There's nothing wrong with big, crazy challenges. In fact, they're a ton of fun, but they're less likely to stick. When I gave up sugar for 30 days, day 31 looked like this. So here's my question to you. What are you waiting for? I guarantee you the next 30 days are going to pass whether you like it or not. So why not think about something you have always wanted to try and give it a shot for the next 30 days?
Thanks, Tom. We can go back to the actual PowerPoint. First thing I did after I showed this video was I just asked my students to summarize the main points. What advice was he giving us? And asking why he chose 30 days. And then I put up the slide that you're seeing and actually told them there's a lot of research that goes into the 30-day concept of it takes 30 days to form a habit and break a habit. And then I put them in groups. And I said, I want you to focus on, I don't want you to focus on photography or chess or writing. I want you to come up with at least 5 wellness challenges. Somebody could do 30 days. And then we went around the room and each gave their best one. And they had to keep notes in this packet that I gave them. So this is what the front of the packet looks like. And so in the next month, we're going to embark on this challenge. And we're going to start this coming Monday if we don't have Day or National Disaster Day or whatever. And this is how I'm going to be grading them. And I'll come back to this grading page in a moment. So the first thing they actually are going to have to do, I did not allow them to choose today. I wanted them to go home tonight, think about it, maybe watch the video again, and they're going to choose which habit they're going to create or try to destroy. They also have to tell me how that's going to affect their future. The affirmation statement is something that they just don't understand. What do you mean by the affirmation statement? And I said it's a quote that will keep you motivated when your motivation is low. So, for example, you can do anything for 30 days if you put your mind to it. That might be the quote. And then, what is their plan of action? And then we're all going to have a team start, but it's going to be their own individual challenge, and we're going to have a team ending date. And these at the bottom, there's a box for every day they can cross it off. Now, this page, as you can see, it actually has the QR code and the actual link to that TED Talks video in case they want to go back and watch that. Oh, thank you, Todd, for putting it up again. But notice how small the boxes are. One, two, three. I only want them to every day. For example, on day one, if they are successful with their challenge, I want them to say, fantastic start. Day two, I'm still going strong. Day three, this is easier than I thought. Day four, what happened? Um, just enough so when they look back on 30 days, they can kind of remember, wow, for whatever reason on days 10 and 17, I didn't have much success. The rest of the days, I did. So it's just kind of an overview of what they are doing. Um, then within 7 days, so on the following Monday, they will come in, and I told them they may not journal outside of class. I want them to do it in class because I don't want them to do it before the 7 days is up. So I have questions. If you can see the one column, I want them to write about what's going well. I want them in the second column, what's not going so well. What were their challenges or obstacles? And then if they were to start over, would they still pick that same challenge? Why or why not? And then I want them to start thinking ahead. What challenge might they pick our next 30-day rotation? It doesn't, and I don't lock them into that. I just want them to think about that. The second week when they come in, I found a quote by Jillian Michaels, who is a celebrity trainer for the Biggest Loser. And it says, part of abandoning the all or nothing mentality is allowing yourself room for setbacks. We are bound to have lapses on the road to health and wellness, but it is critical that we learn how to handle small failures positively so that we can minimize their long-term effects. One setback is one setback. It is not the end of the world, nor is it the end of your journey towards a better you. So basically, I want them to take that quote and how does it pertain to them and give me a full page journal writing on that. The third day, the video that I really love, the motivational one that's 6 minutes long, Todd also put the link to that on here. Um, I will get out the laptops. This is on like the third week because by this time, students may be like waning in their motivation. They just need to be some life injected back into them. So they're gonna have headphones. They're gonna watch that 6 minute video clip again. Pull out three quotes. For example, here's one of the quotes in it. It says, "In the process of working on your dreams, you are going to incur a lot of disappointment, a lot of failure, a lot of pain." They may take a quote like that. Some of the quotes are very down to earth, realistic. Some are more uplifting. I'll encourage them to kind of hit like both angles, and they're going to choose three quotes that kind of hit a chord with them, and then reflect on that. Now, the fourth journal is actually not a journal at all, and all of the other ones are worth 5 points. This one is worth 20 because they are actually going to create a school-wide challenge. This is an actual challenge that I belong to the Healthy State High action team, and we did a school-wide 30-day challenge called Let's Hydrate State High. And we promoted it, we made videos on it, And basically, we gave a little bit of education in the flyer, and we told them that you take your body weight, divide it in half, and that's how many ounces you should be drinking of water every day. The one we are currently on is called 10 minutes more. And the concept behind that is your body exercise 10 minutes more than you currently are doing. So if you're on the couch doing nothing, maybe take your dog for a walk for 10 minutes a day, or do some plyometrics while you are cooking dinner or waiting for the laundry to finish up. Um, I think what I'm trying to do here is to get them to pick something that's universal. Notice it's not roller skate or bike, or it's more something vague that everybody can kind of, as a team, jump onto. Todd, if you can show the other video, this is what my colleagues and I'm encouraging the students to make their own video. That's something I'd like to try next because I think teachers don't do usually as good of a job with the videos as what the kids do. So this is our Healthy Stay High video for
I've got 10 minutes before my next class. Hey, sucker, we got 10 minutes before our meeting.
To lunch. I got this.
Okay, that stack of papers is done. Oh, grading is done. Oh, I've got about 10 minutes or so before the next class comes in. What should I do? What should I do? I think I know. Oh, man, I'll tell you, I'm so stressed. The work is just piling up. I don't have time to do anything else.
There's so many meetings.
I know, the end of the marking period, grading, it's crazy.
Oh, lab reports are stacked up to here.
Yeah.
Hey, fools! We got 10 minutes! Let's go!
Hey, Stay High. We're here on behalf of the Healthy Stay High Action Team to promote our next 30-day challenge.
For the month of January, we're asking you to increase your physical activity levels by just 10 minutes a day.
If you're not active now, start off with 10 minutes every single day. If you're currently doing 30, bring it up to 40 minutes every day for the rest of the month.
And it doesn't matter what you do. You can weightlift, you can roller skate, you can run, jog, whatever. Just get out there and do it.
I pity the fool who can't exercise 10 minutes a day. Stay healthy, stay high.
The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a few small steps.
Thank you, Todd. Okay, so one of the things I find interesting about the team I work with, the gentleman Beard, in the last year and a half has lost 138 pounds just by putting himself through challenges and cleaning up his diet and doing exercising. So it's a fun group to work with. It's all the science teachers in the one wing and myself. So I don't know how that came about, but what I want to do is have my students, if they don't want to do this poster, they could actually do some type of video diary of their own challenge, some motivational video video. So again, if you try this and you come up with anything, please let me know. I'm in the infant stages with this assignment. I also have some motivational quotes only because my packet ended with a blank sheet on the back, and I'm not going to have a blank sheet. So I put some motivational quotes. My favorite one is from Henry Ford. Obstacles are the frightful things you see when you take your eyes off of your goal. This next one is actually really short, but it's really effective. And I got this from a colleague of mine, Andy Merritt. And when I saw it, I said that is brilliant because, as you know, health and phys ed, we're getting cut. We're doing all kind of things to kind of toot our own horn. I never thought we'd have to do that, but we do. Um, Thank you, Heather. But anyway, so we want to actually let parents know what a great job we're doing. We want parents on our side so that we're not getting into these budget cuts. In fact, we want to actually get more money, more time, all of those good things. So what my colleague had, and I said, "Oh my gosh, it's brilliant." As you can see, it's a postcard, and on the first side, it just says to the parents or guardians of, and at the top, it has our school logo and address. You flip it over, and it says, "Congratulations, outstanding, fantastic, superior work, way to go, bravo," and then it has my name. I just jot a note, and I say, "I just want to let you know, Alex did such a fantastic video. He's really given us a lot of motivation his hard work, really working well with other students. Thanks a lot." And I throw the mail, and I don't even have to pay. I don't have to pay for it, and it's a great way for parents to get something from you that's positive about their kid, about their wellness, and it also actually opens up communication. Well, what are you doing in health class? Um, and so it's just a win-win situation. This next activity, I love when I can do an activity that is so relevant with timing. And I created this lesson the night before. I didn't get a lot of sleep because I got the idea. Because all my students were saying, we were on the nutrition unit, and they're like, "We're going trick or treating tomorrow," and I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" So I spent about 4 hours putting a lesson together, and the first bell ringer that I had, so I wanted them to guess how many calories. And I found this article where a woman had taken all her child's candy, wrote it out. So I want you all to look at the screen and look how much candy, because I'm going to ask you to guess how many calories were in this child's pumpkin. Now, to be fair, the child estimated that she ate this much candy before the mom could actually do the summation of how many calories. Um, so again, I'll go back, let you look. So if everybody could just start throwing a guess, how many calories was in this child's bucket? Nobody wants to be the first one. Okay, we've got one, 4,000. Thanks, Jess. 5,200, 3,000. Now it's like the price is right, 28.50, 6,000, 2,500, $1, 12,000. Okay, so just for time's sake, I'm going to go on. Actually, I hit enter. That doesn't work. 7,238 calories. And I mean, I was kind of shocked that that's how many calories. And obviously, brainstorming, talking to the kids, what's the major nutrient in all of this? And they obviously said sugar. And I showed a TED Talks. I don't have the link, and I'm sure Todd will actually throw it up there. Jamie Oliver did a TED Talks video on Dan and Tammy Wan. 2 pounds. Exactly, Dan. 2 pounds if not burned off. And this is right before the other holidays that are just going to keep piling the calories on. So show the TED Talks video and have them I have a worksheet that basically has them pull out the main facts of what Jamie Oliver says about how much sugar. He's very graphic and he's very over the top if you've ever seen him. So, but then I didn't want to just stop here. Okay, so what? There's 7,230 calories. Um, so I actually offered something else, and I wrote this on the slide that fall is in full swing and candy seems to be dropping from the trees. Luckily, there's a way to make it through the season without looking like a pumpkin by January. And then I offered 6 recipes that feature the cozy autumn flavors of pumpkin, cinnamon, apples, and it will satiate even your sweetest tooth from Halloween to the holidays. So, and again, I gave them the recipes. There we go. This was just apples and cinnamon. This one, oh my gosh, the baked oatmeal is so fantastic. It had so many healthy ingredients in it. In fact, I had a 7 o'clock class and I only had a small amount of girls in. And one morning I got up even earlier than I normally do, and I baked a big pot of this big dish in the oven, and I took it to school that morning. And the first thing we did before we got started is we dished out a hot bowl of oatmeal. And oh, there it is. Thank you, Todd, for the Jamie Oliver TED Talks video. So anyway, so that was the baked oatmeal, and I have to tell you, playing derby on the days that I go on Sunday mornings, I would eat this, and it just gave me more energy. So I think honey was the sweetener that I put in it. There's a pumpkin spice latte for those of you that just absolutely have to have that beverage. Spiced nuts, and then chocolate drizzled apples and baked apples. And I actually had the culinary teacher actually use this recipe and actually brought some of the apples over and shared them with the students. Then now where I want to go with this with my students after we know how many calories, 7,238, I asked them how many of you are still going to go trick or treating. Well, they're all still going to go. They've made plans. It's what they do. I can't believe seniors still trick or treat, but they do in state college. And I had them basically brainstorm, okay, well, how are you going to get this candy and not eat all 7,000 calories in a day, in 2 days? What's your plan? And I actually had some students say, I'm going to allow myself 5 pieces the night of, and then every day have X amount of pieces and not eat it like I normally do. So, again, just wanting kids to start thinking about what they're doing and how they can do better for themselves. This next slide is pretty easy. If you can see the 2 graphics, I actually used those graphics and I had them printed very large on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, the thumbs up, thumbs down, and I laminated them on blue construction paper for the thumbs up and the red construction paper on the thumbs down. And on days I want to make sure every kid is engaged, and especially if we're going to have a lot of talking, what do you think, share opinions. Like right now, it would be nice if all of you had, something that you could actually contribute to the conversation. I can't really see you. And so they have them on their desk, blue and red, and I'll ask a question or I'll make a statement, and they give thumbs up or thumbs down. And it's just a way for other students to look and see what else, how other people are thinking about it, and actually start a conversation and see who's on the same side of the conversation that you are. Todd, just a quick question. It is now 7:35. Should I keep going? Like, what do we want to do? I just want to be mindful of people's time so we can get some direction from you and from the crowd.
Well, I think it's up to everybody else. If you wanted to keep going, just let us know there in the chat room, and if you want us to stop, we can save the rest for next session, which is next month. And by the way, if any of you are members, you're certainly welcome to register for free. If any of you paid for this, you're welcome to join, and you'll get every webinar from here on out free. Webinars are a benefit of membership in Pennsylvania AFERD. So let us know over in the chat room if you want us to keep going, and it looks like consensus seems to be headed that direction, Melanie.
All right, so there's only 4 more activities, and they're not as long as some of the others. Those of you who've seen me before, this one is one of my staples. It's called a meat box, and it's literally I have a shoe box with a piece of Velcro on the bottom of it, and I have an old peanut can that I've cut a hole in the top, and I've Velcroed it to the bottom of the box, and I have different colored beads. And the box provides privacy, so I will throw a rubric up on the screen. And for example, today I start body image. Red, I'm very satisfied with the way my body looks. Green, mostly satisfied. Yellow, somewhat satisfied. Pink, not satisfied. Orange, we use the H word. I hate the way my body looks. And I always give them an opportunity to pass in case they just don't feel safe with the question. And then once it goes around the room quickly, I open the lid, I show a kid or two, and then I tally them on the board. And again, it's just a normal assessment of where do I fall with where do my peers fall. And it also gives me an understanding of where my students are with the topic. And I find that students answer honestly, and I almost never get a white knee. This one, I really like this activity, Perfect Day. It is for the stress management unit. Basically, I tell them if you came to school and you saw your parents in my classroom and they told you that you've been working so hard that you deserve a break and that the principal has given you basically a free day out, an excused day, no homework, it's a Friday, they all have their driver's license. And if you teach younger students, you can have a chauffeur for them. They get the family car with a full tank of gas, $50, and they have to be home by midnight. And they'll quickly tell you that the law says 11 o'clock, but the police are in on this too because I said even Cinderella got till midnight, so you can have it till midnight. What would you do from 8 o'clock to midnight? You can't break the law. You can't be immoral. You can only have as many friends in the car as you have seatbelts. Obviously, you only have one tank of gas. You only have $50. And then they brainstorm. I have a worksheet that they fill in and then they share as they feel comfortable. And the purpose of this activity is to show that look, you sometimes have to schedule a day for yourself. It's never going to happen. The principal's just going to give you a free day, but possibly once a month. And maybe, obviously, $50, that's a lot of money for kids. So maybe you want to brainstorm some activities that take little or no money. And basically, it's just showing them that if they budget their time, do good time management, they can actually have more perfect days. And then we actually go big and talk about the true perfect day, like, Caribbean, um, swimming with dolphins, that kind of thing, just because it's nice to talk about those kind of things. This next activity, peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I absolutely adore this. Let's see. Okay. So peanut butter and jelly, I basically just tell them to, an alien has landed and needs to feed themselves, and that's the easiest sandwich to make. So write the quote recipe or instructions for peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And then I just randomly pick one and I have a student read it to me word for word, and I have the bread, the peanut butter, the jelly, and I do it verbatim. So if they say take some peanut butter and put it on a slice of bread, they didn't ask me to unscrew the jar. They didn't ask me to get a knife. They didn't ask me to put some on the knife. I literally just pick up the peanut butter, the whole jar, and just lay it on a piece of bread, and then they'll giggle and they'll laugh, and then we just start reading some of them and realize that we don't communicate well. And I actually use this during the sex ed unit when we talk about communication. And so that's people saying they like the meat box, they did activities like it. Okay, so binge to blackout. This is actually my last activity. Um, it's amazing. I show and Todd, you don't have to actually put the link onto this one, but the movie The Hangover, the trailer is really funny, and the movie's funny. If you've ever seen it, it's a movie about where everyone has blacked out. They lost the groom. They don't know where he's at because they're all blacked out, and they have to try to remember. And it's just really funny. So I show the trailer, and everybody laughs, and they think we're just having some entertaining times. Then I take four students out in the hallway, And I took the badges for. I know someone wrote that they met me at Governor's Institute. You might have even been one of the ones. I gathered everybody's name badges up. They have strings on them, and I put a badge on their back, and it has something they did that they don't remember. Um, Off the top of my head, I think the four activities are: I peed in my friend's washing machine, I threw up all over my clothes off in front of people. I went into cardiac arrest, and when I left the party, I wandered 7 miles in the wrong direction. So I take them out in the hallway, and I tell them, you know what you've done, and I put it on their back, and I said, when I call for you, you have to come into and face your peers on Monday morning, and they all know what you did. I've instructed the students that when the students come in, they may heckle them, they may laugh, they may say things like, "I saw that on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. That's so embarrassing." And so I play the song Monday, Monday, and the students are walking in, and if you could see their body language, they are so ashamed because people are laughing at them, going, "Oh my gosh, that's so disgusting." And then after everyone has seen all four, I ask the students to sit down, and I ask the students how they're feeling. And some of them, like, actually have tears in their eyes. They're like, "I just know what I did." We talk about blacking out and how it's not as funny as the movie The Hangover, and especially in a day and age of social media and how that can be out there and to haunt them forever, anything they have done. So, that being said, at 7:42, I just want to thank you all for tuning in for the first Let's Have Fun in Health Class webinar version. Very different, but I'm happy that I got my first one done, and I hope that you got something from this, because I think it is a great way that we can all stay tucked away in our own little homes. And I do want to put a little plug out there for those of you who are not PSA for members and enjoyed the webinar. The webinars are $20 a piece. However, if you're a member, they're all included. The journals are included. So there's so many benefits of being a PSA for member. Um, so again, I just want to put that plug out there. This is when you come back in and join me, buddy.
Okay, well, I'm back now. Hey, thanks so much, everyone, for joining us here at this Let's Have Fun in Health class webinar. Um, if I could, I would say, how about a round of applause for Melanie, because she did a fantastic job. I was thoroughly entertained the entire time, as I can tell many of you were as well. Please don't forget to join us for round 2 on February 18th. Even if you can't make it, we do record these. So if you're busy on the 18th when she'll be doing this again, it'll be a new round, so it won't be a repeat of what you've seen tonight. It'll be brand new on the 18th. Even if you can't join us, certainly do sign up for it. It will give you access to the recording and so on. So please, thanks again. We are going to be looking to continue our health education webinar series. It has been requested many, many times, and what a great way to start with Melanie Lynch. Like I said before, she's the rock star of health education, in my opinion, and you know, what a great way to start. If you're going to start, you might as well start with the Stadium Act, and we certainly did tonight. So thanks again, Melanie. Really appreciate your time and efforts and energy and enthusiasm, and we certainly did enjoy that. And we'll see everybody next month on the 18th.
Bye-bye.
So long.